The FlexiPump Independent Flushing System is an automated hands-free flushing pump for pre-cleaning lumen instruments and reduces the painful, inconsistent traditional methods we find in reprocessing departments today. In this video, we'll go over how to properly use the FlexiPump system for flushing nearly all lumen devices and its maintenance. The FlexiPump can be used inside a sink insert, mobile cart, or installed on a back wall. Installation on a back wall is preferred to hang the tubing and to prevent the pump from being knocked into a sink basin. Finish installing your pump by connecting the black and gray barrel cords together and plugging into a wall outlet. Before flushing instrumentation, make sure your pump is set to the right speed. The speed button is on the far right-hand side of your pump and looks like a radio dial. You can think of speed as increasing in volume as volume flushed through the channels. The right speed is determined by lumen size. The smallest lumens should be flushed on low speed, which is set by pressing the dial button once, illuminating one LED light. Suction tips and eye instruments are good examples of tiny cannula. The low speed setting provides around 500 milliliters of flushing per minute. 500 milliliters is the total volume and should be divided accordingly by the number of instruments attached. Lumens 2 to 3 millimeters in diameter should be flushed on medium or by pressing the dial button twice to illuminate two LED lights. The medium speed setting provides around 700 milliliters of flushing per minute. The largest lumens that might be flushed, 3 millimeters or larger, should be flushed on high. Press the dial button 3 times until 3 LED lights are illuminated. This is an appropriate setting for flushing robotics or orthopedic lumens. The high setting provides around 1,000 milliliters of flushing per minute. Once the speed is set, determine how long to run the cycle. This information can be found in your instrument's IFU. To start the flush cycle, press the upward-facing arrow. Press the button once to flush for 30 seconds, twice for 60 seconds, or 3 times for 90 seconds. For every 30 seconds run, an LED light will disappear as a countdown. The impact cycle is included with each pump in the case of a material clog or impact. Brushing extensively to remove a clog can cause scratching or damage, which acts as a safe haven for bioburden. Remove your brush and connect the FlexiPump system to the lumen. The impact cycle can be run for 2, 4, or 6 minutes by pressing the up-down arrow once, twice, or 3 times. The impact cycle will run forward, stop, then reverse flow. This motion will create suction and loosen material clogs. Once complete, return to normal brushing and flushing. Keep in mind, this cycle does not replace normal flushing requirements. The stop button can be pressed whenever a cycle should be canceled. Most instrument port connections should fit to the tube leads without an adapter piece. The tube lead has the same slip tip as a traditional syringe. When a port doesn't fit the tube lead, use an adapter as provided in our accessory kit. The accessory kit features 4 pieces, each with its own unique application. The gray end caps are for capping off flow to the lead. All unused leads should be capped off to maintain pressure in the tubing. The thin XL slip tips are best used to connect to small, hard-to-reach channels. Robotic ports require the XL slip tip to fit into both ports simultaneously. For devices that don't seem to have an identifiable port, the rubber cup adapter helps create a seal around these ports. For instruments with ports that mimic the appearance of a syringe tip, a female-to-female lure lock helps connect to these lumens. The FlexiPump tube sets make the pump adaptable to a range of IFU and uses. Tubes can vary based on how many lumens they can flush and at specific pressures. 2-lead tube sets are a good option when flushing robotic instruments since they have 2 ports per device. You might also choose this tubing for flushing scopes. 3-lead tubing is applicable for any type of lumen flushing in sterile processing and GI, and lets users flush up to 3 instruments at the same time. 5-lead tubing is a special tube set option designed for very small channels. With 5 leads, pressure can be reduced when flushing ocular or suction tips. This tubing is not compatible with lumens larger than 1 millimeter in diameter. Pressure is a critical component in flushing and should be monitored carefully when pre-cleaning. All tube sets come with pressure relief valves that maintain pressure during flushing. 15 psi is a recommended pressure for most scopes and general instrumentation. 30 psi valves are required for use with robotic instrumentation and larger lumens such as those found in orthopedic devices or in colonoscopes. Tube sets require daily disinfection to keep them free of hard water deposits and biofilm buildup. Ideally, tube sets are disinfected after every shift, but at a minimum of once a day. To disinfect the tube sets, place your drop-down tube in a container with intermediate level disinfectant. We recommend Pro Spray, which does not contain bleach or alcohol, and it is safe for use with FlexiPump tubing. High bleach or alcohol disinfectants are not recommended for FlexiPump tubing. Pro Spray is also ready to use and does not require dilution. Remove any end caps. Press the forward flush to begin filling the tubes with disinfectant. Cap off the tube leads once disinfectant ejects from the leads and run the pump for another 2 to 3 seconds. You should see disinfectant eject from the valves, indicating there are no air bubbles inside and there is full contact with detergent. Let the disinfectant sit for its contact time as stated in the IFU. Pro Spray has a 5-minute contact time. Once the contact time has elapsed, carefully remove the end caps and rinse out remaining disinfectant with water. After tube sets are disinfected, a daily flow validation procedure can be conducted. The flow validation test ensures the pump's flow is consistent with the amounts stated in the user manual. Begin by priming your tube sets, ensuring water is ejecting from the leads. Place the drop-down tube in a container with water, making sure it is fully submerged. Run the pump for 30 seconds on low speed, keeping the tube leads pointed in a graduated cylinder to measure output. Check the output against flow validation recommendations. Repeat this same step on medium and high speed, each at 30 seconds, emptying your container each time. If results are off, ensure your drop-down tube is fully submerged and no air bubbles exist in the tubing. Also, ensure tubing isn't coiled upon itself. Changing tubing on a monthly basis is the final critical component of maintaining the FlexiPump. Fresh tube sets ensure a safe, clean delivery of flushing fluids and refreshes tubing, which loses its elasticity over the course of its use. Tubing should be changed every 30 days. Start by removing the cap assembly from the pump by pressing the side tabs on the cap. Pull the tubing taut, twist and pull out, removing the tubing and rotor out at the same time. Prior to discarding old tubing, remove any adapter pieces and the ceramic weight and strainer. The white and black strainer set helps keep your tubing submerged and filters out particles. Take out your new tubing and activate the time strip by pressing the power icon. The time strip provides visual countdown to indicate when to change tubing again. Initial and date the label. Reassemble the strainer and wait. Wrap your new tubing around the rotor, again pulling the tubing taut. Push the rotor into the cap. Flip the cap over. Your tubing will be installed correctly if your red output tube aligns with the output on the cap sticker on the right-hand side. Install the cap assembly back on the pump. This is done easiest with the pump running on the low speed. This will catch with the rotor and install with ease. With proper care and use, your FlexiPump system can provide hands-free, automated pre-cleaning for your lumen instrument inventory, letting each user flush the same way every time. For additional information on caring for your FlexiPump system, contact Pure Processing at 877-718-6868 or by going to our website at pure-processing.com.